Hello and welcome to Destiny Digits. This is the life path number 1 reading. So your life path number tells you about the opportunity that you have in this life based on an energy that you carry. So the energy of 1 is very independent, courageous, bold. 1s are leaders, go-getters. They're unafraid to just go after it, right? And they're also not afraid of their own company. So 1s are very ambitious. Um, your birthday is how you find your life path number. So if you already know that number, great. If not, you can always use the link in the description box. I'm also going to include the cards that I am using in this reading. All right, so first card is going to be, where are we now? Current space, we have delusion. Intention without surrender can be a fast path to delusion. So that's the current space we're in. Let's see the task. We have inner child. Allow me to give compassion and love to that little me. Let me attend to its deepest needs and feelings. All right. So there's something that you want to establish, something that you want to create, but it will take a level of surrender, letting go, allowing, in order to initiate and allow what's to come, right? Spirit's asking you to focus on your inner child in a way that's graceful and delicate. And so that means like really taking time to listen. Like, what am I needing? What am I looking for? What am I feeling? What are my truest desires? It's about asking those deeper questions, but then really listening, to hear the answers. Your difficulties. It says your path. Dear Lord, help me trust that there's a plan far beyond what I can see through my fears and illusions. Yeah, so again, something is you're stepping in or you're wanting to almost take like this leap of faith. It takes a certain level of trust and honesty with self and in self to get in line and aligned with where your true path and purpose is. And so when we have not done our inner child, we are going to be led or stopped and blocked by our fears. So it's really about soothing ourselves and like telling ourselves like, it's okay. This is new. This is unknown territory. It may be uncomfortable, but we almost have to let go. Like we just have to trust. Like it's like coaching yourself from the inside out, but from a way that you would speak to somebody who is much smaller, who can't understand the environment, right? Somebody who doesn't have the vision, right? And so you have to bring them peace and solace with your approach. And so that's how we have to speak to ourselves when we are in unknown territory, when we are operating or being asked to operate in ways that are foreign to us. Okay? So let's see what your strengths are. We have worth. You have been worthy to belong to love all along, without any need to improve. In fact, you are love itself. And so this is saying that like as you are right now in this moment and every moment that you've ever experienced in this life, you were always enough. There was nothing more that you had to do, receive, become, ascend to. There was nothing else that you've ever had to do to be valuable, to have worth, to be significant, right? Just being you was enough. And sometimes, it's a lot easier to walk our path in life when we understand our true worth and our value. But when our inner child is showing up and we're afraid to kind of let go and surrender to what we know is true, that fear is because somewhere in our journey, we were not affirmed. We were not convinced and shown consistently that we were valuable, that we were capable, you know? And so this is almost like taking steps backwards and healing aspects of self in order to go ahead and take this leap forward. And then look at this last card, your goal. We have trust. Allow me, divine, to give you my deepest longings, trusting you to know exactly how to handle them. So again, that's what I think of when I think about the hanged man. So we have delusion and trust, and both of those are aspects of surrender, of turning yourself upside down, literally saying like, I got nothing. Like in this moment, in this space, I have nothing. Right. And so all I can do is groom, heal, be compassionate with myself as I prepare to step into my path and really align with the worth that was suppressed, hidden, or kind of sucked out of me in these life experiences. Right. Let's just take note of the bottom. We have humility. Allow me, divine, to always accept the right assistance. I welcome your help in every way and delight in receiving it. You know what? So listen, ones, you are very independent. And, you know, sometimes we need assistance, but the type of assistance that you are being called to have at this time is not another person. It's asking you to realize that your other teammate is spirit, your other, your support is the divine. And so that connection is real, it's alive, and it's fluid. And so when you're surrendering, that's who you are saying, listen, it's your play, you know, like I have to rely on my teammate for this. This is the part where they show up. And so for you, your teammate is the divine. And so you're being called to trust first in yourself, right? And really soothe your fears and your doubts and your worries. First card out is King of Swords, followed by Wheel of Fortune. We have Justice. All right. I was going to say we'll get two more. We had a lot come out. I'm just going to do that again. Let's see. For worth, Seven of Swords. We have Eight of Swords. And then this Ace. I'm going to put the Ace here. This was the extra. The Ace of Swords. And at the bottom of the deck, we have Lovers. Alrighty. And I'm going to pull just one more message card for the bottom, and then I'll jump into this reading. All right, ones. Ones, this is like you leveling up. This is you exiting the old aspect of self and of life and walking in to your truth. It's almost like you're gaining clarity about who you are, what you're here to do. You know, it's like you're no longer believing in what was told to you or poured into you at some point. Alrighty. So we'll get one more. All right, so let's just do this. So for where we are right now, we have the King of Swords, right? And so King of Swords is somebody who's very logical, right? They spend most of their time in their mind, trying to make things make sense. To a King of Swords type person, everything has a place. And when something's out of place, it's going to trigger everything else to go wrong. And so it's really important for rules to be followed, for order to be had, decisions to be made. There must be a plan. You know, this is like being intentional with your thoughts, because you know that your thoughts become reality. So this is somebody who really has mastered their mental space, and emotions don't necessarily play a part for a King of Swords type energy, just because they're fleeting, right? And what makes sense, what's true, is always true. Um, and so what's being asked of you right now is you're setting an intention to step into something new, right? There's something new that you're crossing into. Times are changing, things are shifting. And at this point, you have to allow things to move. And no matter how much we attempt to rationalize and make sense of situation in order to move things in the direction that we want, no matter how much we attempt to like almost control situations and rationalizing, this in this moment, you are being asked to surrender. And why is that important? Because if you're setting an intention, you know that that intention is going to something outside of you. And so if you're setting an intention for something that you want, for somewhere that you're moving to, when you set that intention, it's an acknowledgement that something else is in play, something else is assisting you. And so to ask for assistance by claiming it, but then not allowing the assistance and the claim to become real, is almost delusional, right? And so this is about like not putting one foot in, but putting 2 feet in. So the intention is set, that's 1 foot. And the second foot that you step in is the surrender. That's where we allow, we accept, we embrace. And that's not always comfortable to do rationally, right? And so it takes a certain amount of trust, faith, and commitment to what you know to be true about you. And that's why this inner child and worth is so important. Because when we jump into things that are spiritual, they don't always make sense, right? Sometimes we just rationally can't make sense of things. But what do we do? What do we rely on? And so the current space you're in, you are just being asked to kind of surrender, let go, and allow. Set your intentions and then be amazed and anticipate them unfolding, even if it doesn't make sense, right? Um, and so the message card, it says, I always trust the direction of the universe and know I'm being guided. And that's literally the space we're in. And so when you set your intention in this moment, and whatever your purpose is, that whatever it is you're moving towards, you set that intention and you let go because you know that something else is in control. That's your teammate. That's your partner. You know, it's almost, it's realizing that you really are not alone. And so the current task, you are currently being called to focus on your inner child, right? As we move into the newness, there does take at moments time to heal or bandage or correct things that might hold us back later. So it's almost like doing a temp check on self and like trying to fix things that we may have neglected, right? So the inner child card says, allow me to give compassion and love to that little one. So there are parts of you that could be a little afraid of what's coming, right? One, because you're stepping into a version of you where you're being called to have trust and faith, and sometimes that doesn't always make sense, and so that could be uncomfortable. And so when our inner child starts to doubt and fear, it can block us because it just doesn't believe that we are capable of having this thing or going to this place, right? It just does not believe. And it doesn't believe because of what it was told when it was growing and maturing. And so no matter how old we are, if our inner child still doesn't know our value, our worth, our strength, and our ability, how we must convince it. We can't neglect it. We need it. We need all aspects of self. And so right now we're in Wheel of Fortune, which is beautiful. So things are moving in your favor. And the way to really enjoy and to see the times that are approaching you, the way to like ride this wave and embrace this in a way that's happy and hopeful, is to convince yourself within in a very compassionate way that you are where you're meant to be and all is well, right? What do we need? What would give me peace in this moment? Like really asking yourself those questions, like what would not what would take away my anxiety right now? What am I feeling? What am I needing? The message card is, when I think I've surrendered, I surrender more. And so this is saying, like, even when we realize the universe is at play, there's we can always go deeper, right? We can always go deeper. And so on a grand scale, yes, things are moving, things are shifting, things are not yet settled. But while the outside world is getting set into place, your inner world needs to be reflecting the change that you want to see. And that does take a certain amount of surrender, but also acknowledgement of whatever fears you could be kind of holding on to about the shifts taking place. You could be afraid of really stepping on your path, but the time is now. This is, Wheel of Fortune can be karma, it can be fate, but it could be destiny. And so this is the moment where you're stepping on your path, but you could be afraid of what that is, of how people respond. It says, help me trust that there is a plan far beyond what I can see. Right. And so that's about knowing that even when you're in unknown territory, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Your path is your path. Even when you don't recognize it, it's still your path. The Justice card here, I feel like the scales represent our past life and the life we're about to step into. It's almost like everything that we were living was a version of self that is slowly like slipping away. And the scales are balancing because now we're aligning and now we're stepping into what we came here to do, right? But the tricky thing is the Seven of Swords here means that you don't even believe in you. You're not even convinced. So it could, this is a card of deception, right? It is a card of like needing to hide information or kind of, not being too loose-lipped about things happening in your personal life. But I think in this situation, this is a card of saying like, you're not really convinced that you're worthy. You're not really convinced. Like confidence could be an issue for you. When we're in spaces that are comfortable for us and we've mastered them, fine. But when we are in a space that calls us to dig deeper, that can be it can be a little uncomfortable if we still have those wounds lingering, right? And so the Justice card, it says, my energy creates my reality. What I focus on is what I manifest. And so if we're only focusing on this Seven of Swords type energy, like if we're not believing in self, if we're lying to self, if we're not convinced about where this path is taking us, if we're not convinced that things are as they should be, if we always think that something's coming against us, something's going to attack us, like what if there is no threat? What if like this is meant for you? This is designed for you. You don't have to look over your shoulder anymore. You're safe. It says you've been worthy to belong to love all along without any need to improve. In fact, you are love itself. And so this is like knowing that justice is here. What was is done. You're moving into a new experience. But look, we have Seven of Swords and then also Eight of Swords. And so in your mind, you're not really convinced. You're not really able to trust what's unfolding. And that's okay. The Ace of Swords says that clarity will come to you. It could be this reading, it could be others, but clarity will come, truth will come. But right now, you know, a difficulty of yours is really knowing that the time is now to be on your path. Your strength is knowing that you are worthy, that everything that you felt you've deserved is actually yours. If you've dealt with situations that have robbed you of your worth or made you feel like you were not worthy, that is an energy of the past. The card we have here, it says attack, pain, fear, judgment, any form of separation are merely calls for help. I'm going to read that again. Attack, pain, fear, judgment, and any form of separation are merely calls for help. Okay. All right. So listen, when we're in situations with people, places, and things that have this Seven of Swords energy, kind of like working against us, not with us, not for us. When we're in those situations, what can help us elevate is knowing that those situations are not a reflection of our worth. They're a reflection of the people, and those are almost cause of for help. So when somebody attacks you, right? When somebody causes you pain, when somebody is living in fear or imposing fear on you or judging you or doing anything to reject you, all of those are cries for help, right? So when we don't know that we are worthy of love, when we don't know, we tend to attract these type of situations that affirm that we just are not quite clear about our worth. And so when these Seven of Swords type situations come to us, it's because we've attracted them because we are not believing something to be true about self. But as soon as we understand our value, as soon as we understand that we belong to love and love belongs to us, no more will we have to be in situations or spaces with this Seven of Swords energy. Either where we're not trusting self just because we're used to things going wrong, or we are just always around shady people. Who are attempting to devalue us. And so the goal is this situation is for you to trust that those moments are gone. They were not a reflection of your worth, and they were not a reflection of all that is to come to you. And so you are being asked to trust this time, trust this space that you're moving into. This Eight of Swords is like being in a mental prison. It's like if we only think about all the awful things that we've endured, we'll never know that the new times, the newness can come, right? And sometimes when things are terribly wrong and it just seems like everything is working against us, those are signs that we are not in alignment, right? But the Justice card here, your path card, and trust says that you have to trust that you are stepping onto your path, even if it feels very foreign, right? And kind of take off the blindfolds and allow spirit to reveal to you why this is your path, right? Realize that you don't have to overanalyze or attempt to calculate, or you know the mental exercises that we keep running in our head to make sure that we're safe, to all the things that keep us in fear and anxiety. Like, those are the things we almost have to free ourselves from and step into trust. And so how do we get out of that space? We trust. I'm going to read this trust one. It says, allow me, divine, to give you my deepest longings, trusting you to know exactly how to handle them. And so some things are designed. There are things that are divinely designed for you. They, like, your name is on them, right? And so don't believe where you've been to the point that you can't even imagine that you're worthy of having what's coming to you. That's beautiful. We have oneness is my true nature. And I feel like this is saying, all the situations and experiences that we've been in, all of them have made us us. And so we almost have to become one with all the good and all the bad because it was necessary. It groomed us. Like, if one moment was any different, we couldn't exactly be the special beings that we are in the moment that we're living in right now, right? And so when we can become one, we no longer have to be fearful of our ability or our strength. We can just trust that what's for me is for me. I'm stepping into something because I'm worthy of this. I can have it. It's finally arrived. I don't have to worry. I don't have to fear. I don't have to believe that anything that didn't work for me was because I wasn't worthy. Absolutely not. It just wasn't for me. So what's for me is still out there. But it's about opening self up to see that. At the bottom of that deck, it says, my fearless freedom lights up the world. Fearlessness, and that's why the inner child is significant, because children typically are unafraid. They don't know to be afraid, right? They're just so excited for what's to come, and they only start to really develop fears and even hold on to them to and throughout adulthood. They hold on to them, but those were things that were given to them. right? We were almost programmed of what to fear. Sometimes we were programmed to fear self, to fear our own self. And so it's almost like going back and waking up your inner child and saying, hey, you're not afraid of anything and you're capable of anything you desire. Now go. Let's get it. Let's get after it. And it's when you can stand in that freedom, in that fearlessness, that freedom just comes. We do have the lovers here. Now, I mentioned that as a one, you are very independent. And I felt like in this space, spirit is like if it's a two-man game, if you like you're the point guard and spirit is the shooter. Like you guys are hand in hand. And I feel like you have a choice to allow spirit to meet you in partnership, to meet you in union. If another relationship is significant to you, then that can be a relationship that is divinely sent to you. You can trust it. You're being called to trust it. So you're either being asked to allow the divine to be your partner in what's to come, or allow the divine to send you a connection as you step into alignment with your path, your worth, and trust that whatever love is presented to you, and that love can come in any way, realize that it was divinely assigned for you. And the other one at the bottom, it says humility. Allow me, divine, to always accept the right assistance. I welcome your help in every way and delight in receiving it. And this is knowing that, listen, no matter how hard we want to control and to make things happen, like something so incredible and intelligent is helping us. And there are some times, thank goodness, when we don't have the answers. And so it's just about being honest and knowing, I'm too small for this situation. Something bigger has to step in for me, and I'm going to allow it because I know that when it steps in, it's for my greater good, right? And so I'm always open to assistance. Like, that's the energy that humility asks. All right, ones, I think this is trusting in self and knowing that you are worthy of all that is to come. And goodness gracious, if it's a love from another, embrace it. If it's the love, the divine love that you are being embraced with, embrace it. You can't go wrong. Thank you so much for stopping by, ones. Take care.